Let's start. Unit 28. Number 1. The role of science can sometimes be overstated, with its advocates slipping into scientism. Scientism is the view that the scientific description of reality is the only truth there is. With the advance of science, there has been a tendency to slip into scientism, and assume that any factual claim can be authenticated if and only if the term scientific can correctly be ascribed to it. The consequence is that non-scientific approaches to reality, and that can include all the arts, religion, and personal, emotional and value-laden ways of encountering the world, may become labeled as merely subjective, and therefore of little account in terms of describing the way the world is. The philosophy of science seeks to avoid crude scientism and get a balanced view on what the scientific method can and cannot achieve. Unit 28. Number 2. People engage in typical patterns of interaction based on the relationship between their roles and the roles of others. Employers are expected to interact with employees in a certain way, as are doctors with patients. In each case, actions are restricted by the role responsibilities and obligations associated with individuals' positions within society. For instance, parents and children are linked by certain rights, privileges, and obligations. Parents are responsible for providing their children with the basic necessities of life: food, clothing, shelter, and so forth. These expectations are so powerful that not meeting them may make the parents vulnerable to charges of negligence or abuse. Children, in turn, are expected to do as their parents say. Thus, interactions within a relationship are functions not only of the individual personalities of the people involved but also of the role requirements associated with the statuses they have. Unit 28, Exercises. Number 01. Most of us don't know what to do with our anger. Some of us try to put a lid on it, afraid of what we might be capable of if our anger isn't contained. Yet human beings are cracked and dripping vessels, and our anger inevitably leaks out. We do and say things we don't want to do and say. We end up taking our anger out on others, then we regret what we've done and take it out on ourselves. Others of us have become so skilled at burying our anger we don't even know it's there. While this strategy tends to appear healthier, it has significant consequences for our long-term well-being. Suppressing anger requires an enormous amount of psychic effort. It saps our energy and drains our emotional resources, resulting in fatigue at best and depression at worst. Unit 28. Number 02. In psychology, associations are relations between conceptual entities. They are used as a way of revealing concealed symbols of our unconsciousness. We have seen that associations can be created when two stimuli appear together, as it happened to Pavlov's dogs. Pavlov. Another way we create associations is by their resemblance. If we meet someone new, unconsciously the first thing we do is look for any similarities. The brain tries to map a stimulus, in this case the new person, by using already established neural structures, and in so doing, memories or people join together in our mind. Something similar happens to the protagonist of Spellbound, a 1945 psychological mystery thriller film directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock 1945 Spellbound. In this case, in his childhood a traumatic event occurs and it involves a fence that is perfectly outlined by vertical lines. And as an adult, whenever he sees parallel lines he always senses a tragic memory because the lines were forever associated with the painful event. The end. Good job.